Hi, BookTube. Bill Rutenberg here at the Rutenberg Library. Come to you with another bookshelf tour, except for this is the Unboxed edition. So this is basically some of the books that I've had put away in boxes, but just because simply I don't have enough room on my shelf behind me. And so I wanted to show you some more things out of the collection. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first book in this stack of books from the boxes is Gateway to Freedom, The Hidden History of the Underground Railroad by Eric Foner. Now this book was an awesome read. It basically centered around, Foner centers the book around the Underground Railroad within the state of New York. I thought it was a really good account. Of course, Foner's a good Civil War era historian, good historian of slavery itself. So this is a W.W. Norton and Company out of New York, and it's a 2015 book. So it's a newer book. I really liked this book. I would definitely recommend it to somebody reading about the Underground Railroad. All right, next book in the stack. I do not have a book cover for this. This is Medieval Feudalism. I don't know if you can see it there, but Medieval Feudalism by Carl Stevenson from the Cornell University Press out of Ithaca, New York. And this is a 1967 book. Originally had a copyright of 1942, but this was a good book. I've shared with if you've been following the channel, I've shared with you, I've been teaching a world history class that in world history is not necessarily my the thing that I'm the best in. I'm more American history, but I've been teaching this world history class, and I've been trying to find books that will help to supplement my own learning with for me teaching the class. And so this was a very short, 116 pages, very short novel, or not novel, excuse me, very short history, and gave some of the basics of medieval feudalism. I mean, it talked about the manor, and it talked about what the everyday life of the people living in the time period, everyday life of them. Talked about the code of chivalry. That was a really good chapter. Just talked about the everyday life of somebody in the medieval feudalistic time period. That was a good one. So the next book is The Formation of England, 550 to 1042 by H.P.R. Finberg. Another good one. Again, helping to supplement my own learning. This is from Paladin, Granada Publishing, Paladin Books. It's from London, and let's see, 1984, I think, is this reprinted edition. But it's a history of England, 550 to 1042. Good book. Next one, another world history, biography on Frederick the Great by Gerhard Ritter, translated with an introduction by Peter Parrott. I hope I'm not mispronouncing these names. This is from the University of California Press out of Berkeley, and it was a 1968 book. 1968 book. And again, a good history of Frederick the Great. One of the units that I teach my world history kids has Frederick the Great in it. And we talk about the monarchy time period. So let's get back to some American history stuff. This is Theodore Roosevelt and the Rise of America to World Power by Howard Beale. Now this book was a really good one. I used it when I was teaching the U.S. and world affairs, so basically, foreign policy stuff, and I used this to help build up the beginnings of U.S. world affairs, because that's really when, the United States really got onto the world scene, was right around that time period. This is the Johns Hopkins University Press out of Baltimore, and it is a 1984 book, 1984. This is a good book. It was a little slower read, but it was a good book. A lot of insightful stuff in it. Next book's by one of my favorite authors, H.W. Brands, and this is The Murder of Jim Fisk for the Love of Josie Mansfield. And this is basically the affair that Jim Fisk had with her. And this is from Anchor Books, a division of Random House. It's out of New York, and it's a 2011 book. It was interesting. I'd never read anything on that, so that was an interesting book. The next one is The Courtship of Mr. Lincoln. Ruth Painter Randall is the author. Her and her husband have done lots of Lincoln, or did lots of Lincoln stuff, and so this is basically all about the marriage of Abraham Lincoln and Mary Todd Lincoln. And it's from it was printed in Boston from Little Brown and Company, and it is a 1957 book. And I've read a couple books by her on Lincoln. I read Lincoln, I think it was Lincoln's Sons was the name of the other one, and it was a really good one. So I enjoyed reading that. Of course, being a Lincoln fan, I like just about everything on Lincoln. Here is General Washington's Christmas Farewell, A Mount Vernon Homecoming, 1783, and this is by Stanley Weintraub. And this was a good short book, and it was basically Washington coming home right after the Revolution, making it just in time for Christmas. This is from the Free Press out of New York, and it was a 2003 book. 2003 book. Good book. Here's a book by Brian Kilmeade and Don Yeager. They've become recently some popular historians. This one is Andrew Jackson and the Miracle of New Orleans, the battle that shaped America's destiny. And I haven't read a whole lot on the Battle of New Orleans, so I found it, pretty interesting because my general knowledge wasn't, I didn't know a ton. So this is from Sentinel, and it's a 2018 book, 2018. And I've read a couple of their other ones. They've got Thomas Jefferson and the Tripoli Pirates. That was a good one. And they also wrote George Washington's Secret Six, and that was a good book. So I think they do a pretty nice job with their histories. The next one is Alexander Hamilton, American, by Richard Brookhiser. I found this to be a good book. One of my teachers at school, one of my teacher friends, was wanting another read on Alexander Hamilton, and I loaned him this book. He didn't like it as much. He thought it was quite a bit slower paced book and found it dry. I did not mind it. I thought it was pretty good. This is a Touchstone book published by Simon & Schuster out of New York, and it is a 2000, the year 2000. So, good book. Here is one that I would definitely recommend. This is, and I needed this one for a video the other day, and I didn't have it, but this is Paul Revere's Ride by David Hackett Fisher. And David Hackett Fisher, excellent historian. If you're ever looking for, if you like to listen to lectures and stuff, or just book talks, get online or get on YouTube and Google his name, and you could find some book talks that he's done. They're really good. But this is basically all about Paul Revere's Ride when the British came out to Lexington and conquered. And I really enjoyed this. This is an Oxford University Press out of New York, and it is 1994. And I would recommend that one to anybody researching or reading about the Revolutionary era and how everything got started. Next one is Benjamin Franklin and His Enemies, and this is by Robert Middlecoff. Robert Middlecoff, and this is a very good book. I don't know if you can read that. Got a little bit of the sun kind of faded that. Now, this is from University California Press out of Berkeley, and it is 1996. I thought this was good because, when you're a world famous guy, you're not going to just make friends. I mean, when you make major world decisions, you're going to make enemies along the way. And so this talked about, both the friends and enemies, and how a lot of times his friends ended up becoming enemies. So I liked that. Next one, The Lincoln Enigma, The Changing Faces of an American Icon, and this is edited by Gaber Borit. This was a decent one, a good one. Maybe not my favorite, a little bit drier read, but it's got essays by several different big name Lincoln historians. Gaber Borit, Douglas Wilson, Gene Baker, David Herbert Donald, Alan Gelzo, Harold Holzer. It's from the Oxford University Press, and it was printed in 2001. Okay, and printed in Oxford and New York. So it was a good book, but a little bit on the drier side in some places. Here's an excellent book on the beginnings of the Revolution. This is American Spring, Lexington, Concord, and the Road to Revolution by Walter Borneman. And Walter Borneman's a good author. And if I remember correctly, this book did an excellent job of taking you step by step as the British were marching through Concord and Lexington, or Lexington and Concord. This is from Little Brown and Company out of New York, 2014 book. I really enjoyed this. I read this one about the same time I read Paul Revere's Ride and the next book that I've got, Victory at Yorktown. I read several Revolution books all at once, and I just remember that one being really good. So this next one, Victory at Yorktown, The Campaign That Won the Revolution. This is by Richard M. Ketchum. I've got a couple other books of his I have not read yet, but I hope to get to soon. And this book is a John McCrae book, Henry Holt and Company, out of New York, and it is the year 2004. So there are a few of my books that I found in the boxes that were all boxed up. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope to, in the coming days, to continue to bring these, maybe one or two each day, and let you see what I got in the collection. Thanks for watching, BookTube. Till next time.